Hello, everybody, and welcome in to Mix 104.1 and then MixTV.tv. A very special segment we got for you right now. We're very, very honored to be joined in just a few minutes with a special guest as he will join us on the phone. And we're talking about the Walker Valley Baseball Leadoff Dinner that is coming up on February the 2nd at First Baptist Church, an opportunity for the community to get involved with this to help the Walker Valley baseball team. Coach Wes Anderson, very excited about this. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and let you know who's going to be the guest speaker with the dinner that's going to be doing that night there at First Baptist. We're going to welcome in Dale Murphy of the Atlanta Braves. Good afternoon to you, sir. How are you doing?
Doing great. Really excited about the event on February 2nd, so can't wait to make it out there. Really looking forward to it.
We're going to welcome in our other guest here in just a second. Before we do that, Dale, I'm just going to run down some accolades that we have here, some bullet points. Drafted in 1974, the youngest player in history to win back-to-back MVP awards in 1982 and 1983. Also a 7-time All-Star, 5-time Gold Glove winner, 4-time Silver Slugger winner, also in the Atlanta Braves Hall of Fame, and then the number 3 jersey retired by the Atlanta Braves. Of course, we're talking about the Murph, Dale Murphy, joining us on the phone here. And Dale, I'm going to go ahead and introduce a couple more gentlemen. It's very excited to talk to you this morning. Probably one of your biggest fans that I know around the Cleveland-Bradley County area. Stephen Shelton is here with us, and then Josh Rogers, also a big fan. And I'll introduce both of those guys. Shelton, let's start off with you. Let's just talk to Mr. Murphy.
Dale, great to talk to you. I'm excited for you to come to the true heart of Braves country, Cleveland, Tennessee, here in February. Walker Valley Baseball.
Looking forward to it.
Great. Walker Valley.
Thank you.
Walker Valley Baseball is a great program in our area, and they're looking forward to having you. But and I've got Josh Rogers here with me, a longtime Braves fan, season ticket holder, and a guy that we frequent your restaurant many times during the season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much. Looking forward to it.
Josh, what do you want to say to Mr. Murph to get started?
I just want to thank you first all for coming to Bradley County here in February, and unbelievable career with the Atlanta Braves, a true testament to what it means to be an Atlanta Brave, and just very thankful for this opportunity to ask you a few questions and be able to chat with you today.
Again, we're on the phone right now with Dale Murphy. He's going to be representing Walker Valley in the baseball leadoff dinner presented by the Keep Cleveland and Bradley County Beautiful and Mix 104.1. Very honored to be doing this. Shelton, let's start off with you. First question, over to you, buddy.
Dale, we could ask you the same old questions you get all the time, but we thought there's some things we want to know from the career that maybe a lot of people don't ask. So we're going to start off with in the brawl of 1984. TVS, we all were glued to television in the 80s watching you play, but in the brawl of 84 with the Padres, what were you thinking during this whole melee? I mean, it was incredible multiple times. What were your thoughts during this fight?
Oh, wow. Well, there were a few crazy days at the ballpark, but that one had to take the cake, I think. I don't know, because the thing that a lot of fights and altercations and things like that have some history to it, like you kind of expect it, because there's usually something going on between, a couple players. And this one just came out of the blue. I don't think anyone ever found out why Pascual Perez hit the first batter of the game in the middle of the back. I think he hit Alan Wiggins, is what I remember.
Right.
And then it just got crazy from there. And of course, Dick Williams, manager of the Padres, said, to his team, every time this guy comes up, we're going to hit him. And of course, it took him about 3 at bats.
Right.
They couldn't figure out how to hit Pascual. And I think, we were just kind of exhausted from, I don't remember how many times the bench is emptied. And then the one thing is, we thought it was over. Usually you can kind of tell when those things are over. And then it just erupted again when Donnie Moore hit Greg Nettles. And, those things usually, usually what happens is those who are trying to break up the fights are the ones that get hurt. And
So true.
People always said, well, where were you in that whole thing? I said, well, I was in there somewhere. I remember that. But I was trying to pull guys apart. And, there were some career situations. Glenn Hubbard hurt his shoulder, and it bothered him the rest of his career.
Wow.
And he was just, trying to break things up. And so, I don't know. We didn't get to a World Series, and we didn't play in the big games, but we did play in a game that everyone seems to remember is that brawl in 1984. So, it's one of those things that, you never expect, and truly you never expect it. I mean, that one just came out of the blue.
Obviously, a 7-time All-Star, 5-time Gold Glover, but really a 4-time Silver Slugger winner. When playing for all those years in Major League, what was your favorite stadium to hit in?
Well, I love to hit in Fulton County Stadium, just because it was our home ballpark. Played our 81 games there. The ball always carried well, but on the road is kind of weird because I don't really know why, but I really had good career statistics in San Francisco, which Candlestick Park is not everybody's favorite place to play, but I was one of the leaders in visiting player home runs there, and I think Johnny Bench might have the record, but for some reason I really like to hit in Candlestick Park. I really like to hit in San Diego, Jack Murphy Stadium. Maybe it was called because it was called Jack Murphy Stadium. Although, really to be honest with you, maybe it had something to do with their pitching staffs during the 80s. That's probably why I like to hit the ballparks. And why I didn't like to hit in Dodger Stadium because their pitching was so good. But San Diego, Candlestick Park, love to hit in Riverfront in Cincinnati. I'll tell you the ballparks I didn't like to hit in, and it's pretty common, is the Astrodome, Montreal, Olympic Stadium, the stadium where they had the Olympics. They tried to convert it to baseball. It just never really worked. And so that's the two ballparks I didn't like to hit in, Houston and Montreal.
Again, we're on the phone with Del Murphy. Very honored to have an exclusive with him today, Mix 1041, MixTV.tv, as we welcome in Del Murphy to our area on February the 2nd at First Baptist Church. A Walker Valley Baseball leadoff dinner with Del Murphy. Tickets are available. Also, a few tables left for VIP autograph tickets that you can be a part of. But a night with Del Murphy, hearing some stories like some of the things we're talking about today, along with so many other things we're looking forward. And I know Coach Wes Anderson at Walker Valley High School, the baseball coach, looking forward to this as well. Dale, my name, again, I'm Dwayne Williams, and I had the honor of meeting you in person. We are, of course, here at WCLE Radio, we are an Atlanta Braves affiliate, and I got to go down to an affiliates day with my family, and you were so gracious to speak with us during that affiliate day and actually sign a hat for me that I actually gave to Shelton because he's such a big fan of yours. And but just a great guy in person. I say that very sincerely. But my question for you is from 1982 really to 1986, really only missed 2 games. I mean, you, from 82 to 85, 162 games, and 86, 160 games. In your opinion, kind of with that catcher's mentality in your beginning of your career and everything that you went through, do you feel maybe in today's baseball world that's a good idea to have a superstar like you were back then playing every game of a season there for that long of a period of a stretch?
Well, that's an interesting question because the game, it was, people ask me, what happened during that stretch. I said the main thing that happened was I didn't get hurt and I was swinging the bat. I was hitting the ball because what happens in the game is everybody watch, you watch the game of baseball, and if you're an outfielder, it's not physically taxing. It's not like, other sports. But what happens in the game is you're just mentally, day in and day out, facing a good pitcher, facing a good bullpen, and the day in, day out concentration of demanding your attention is really what becomes what becomes exhausting. Not physically necessarily. If you're a catcher or pitcher, you go through those days, especially catching. So what happened during that stretch is, I'll just be real honest with you, it wasn't anything by design. It was just the fact that I was healthy. So my point is that I really think guys need days off occasionally and to rest their mind, kind of, and to regroup, especially if they're struggling, but if you're playing well and you're not hurt and, things are clicking, but especially if you start to struggle, or if there's a tough pitcher, manager can give you a day off. And then what happens after that is you kind of get your batteries recharged and you can go on another tear, for the next 10 days, 2 weeks or something. And so that's the challenge of baseball. And Freddie Freeman, he had a little streak going, and he was talking to me about it. And I just told him, you got to be careful, because after a while it becomes a thing, like, oh, he hasn't missed a day yet. He hasn't missed a day. And some days you like Freddie may be tough, facing a tough left-handed pitcher. And, and he could take the day off, be available for a pinch hitter. He'll probably, it makes your bench a little bit stronger for the day. The other advantage for the team is to give other players an at-bat, other players 4 at-bats, because you're going to need them as pinch hitters. So, what Cal Ripken did as far as his playing streak and breaking Lou Gehrig and everything, that was amazing, and it's unreal. But, it'll never happen again, because I think it's harder to hit nowadays in some ways, and just mentally, you need a break. And so that's what I told Freddie, and that's what I'll tell everybody. It's okay to take a day off, talk to your manager. It's great to be out there as much as you can, obviously, for the fans and for the club, but you got to be wise about it.
All right, we're going to come back over to Sheldon. Sheldon, what do you got?
I've got so many. I know we're limited on time. I'd love to hear about Pascual Perez getting lost on 285, Tom Glavine throwing at you in 91. But, I'd like to go to the July 4th, 1985 game when Rick Camp hits the home run to put you guys even farther into extra innings, going into the 18th. It's after midnight. Let's be honest. Were you guys happy that Rick hits the home run, or were you guys just ready to go to bed? What was the dugout like?
Well, we were fine. It was exciting. I think I got home I can't really remember. I think I got home at 5 in the morning. It was a weird time, because Nancy, I think my wife Nancy, we had a couple young boys at the time. I think she started at the game, and then, of course, came home, put the kids to bed, and she's asleep, and gets up at 3 in the morning, and it's like, where's Dale? Because, we don't have cell phones, and the TV's not on. She's just like, what's happening? She calls down to the ballpark because she knows there's been some rain delays. She's like, talks to the operator, hey, what's going? Oh, they're playing. There's and so, the thing about Rick and such a great guy, I miss him dearly. He just can't hit. And so he's just not a good hitter. And he goes through, the pitchers take BP, and before the games, especially the relief pitchers, and it's all in fun, and they have little contests and everything. But, Rick's just not a good hitter. And so, to have that happen to Rick Camp, I mean, it would have been entirely different, because you might have expected it with someone. I think Terry Harper hit a home run late in that game. But, to have it just so unexpected, I mean, it was a blast. It was a blast. I saw Keith Hernandez a couple months ago. He had I forgot, he hit for the cycle in that game. And, there were some crazy things, but that I think that and the fight against San Diego were two of the craziest, definitely the craziest games I've ever been involved in.
Mr. Murphy, talking about the Braves now, and as many Braves fans know, we have seen some turnover, whether it's Freddie going to the Dodgers or Dansby going to the Cubs. We've seen multiple people leaving. We've seen new faces coming in. And I want to just kind of get your take on one thing, because you are definitely the expert here. With catchers like Brian McCann or Javi Lopez, Joe Torre, Del Crandall, and you playing 85 games behind the plate for the Braves, we all know in this room that the greatest Murphy to ever play for the Braves will always be you. But what does Sean Murphy have to do over the next 7 years, a newcomer to the Braves, to kind of be in that realm of those upper echelon catchers for the Atlanta Braves?
Well, I'm excited to have another Murphy on the team. That's for sure, especially since I got a son named Sean, too. So, spelled differently. But, yeah, I was excited about that. I mean, it was kind of a weird winter, I think, for all of us. I was, in the camp of hoping that Dansby would come back. I mean, for all the reasons, leadership, I think just, being a local guy. But now we got, I'll tell you, the thing you need, and everybody talks about it, is you need to be strong up the middle. And catcher, center field, and second and short. And so, we're going to see who takes over the everyday job for Dansby. But I'm excited. I think Sean Murphy, brings everything, leadership, offense, and defense. And I don't see a problem with him fitting right in and being a mainstay in this on this ball club. I'm really excited about that. So that kind of helped, soothed me a little bit when we lost Dansby. But I think about the good years we had with Hubbard and Ramirez leading the league in double plays, things like that, and Bruce Benedict behind the plate. Phil Nico said, he's the reason why he's in the Hall of Fame, was Bruce Benedict. And so you gotta be strong up the middle. And I love where we're going, but especially to solidify not only a good offensive player, but really good defense and leadership qualities out of Sean Murphy. That's a big trade, really, really big for the Braves.
Shelton, we're gonna get one more question here from Shelton, and then we'll kind of start wrapping things up. I know your time is limited today. We appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely.
This opening season will be the 33rd season since you've donned the Braves uniform when you were traded in 1990 there at the end of the season. After being traded, you get to see your Braves go, they go from worst to first. They beat the Pirates on the Sid slide. They get beat by Kirby Puckett and the Twins there in the World Series. But over those 33 years, have you been able to understand your place in Braves history and your legacy that you've left behind? I remember you coming out for an award with Tom Glavine when he was doing a lot of television. He said, "No, not this guy again." And so I just have you been able to have time over those 33 years to understand the love that Braves country has for you and what you truly meant by staying in Atlanta, when I know there was times that you probably could have jumped ship, especially during your dominance of the 80s?
Well, I appreciate that question. I think the older you get, it's definitely a thing when you're younger and you're playing. You're kind of just have that on your mind, and so you're just kind of thinking about that, and you don't really know what's going on. And then, man, I can't believe it's been that long, but time just marches on. But I'll tell you, what has happened to me since I retired, and I travel around, I do some speaking, and now I have the restaurant there in Atlanta and get to talk to a lot of people. And I think it's kind of dawning on me. Well, I mean, it has dawned on me, and I knew, but I just have to say that it's been solidified more in my mind, the great opportunity and chance I had to be a part of the Braves and to associate with the fans and the organization. And to me, it's just a really interesting, and you guys mentioned it earlier, TBS. I had a really interesting, and all of us did, an interesting intersection of being able to play for the Braves, being able to play for Ted Turner, and Ted Turner figuring out how to use cable TV and sports as programming, as content. One of the early pioneer, of course, the Cubs came on, but just that whole intersection of my career, the Braves, TBS. I have to say that while I was playing, I had no idea how big of an opportunity that was, and how many people were actually watching. I knew there were a lot of people watching. We'd see them on the road. But now, since I've retired and I've been to Fargo, North Dakota, I've been to Idaho Falls, I've been to Hawaii and represented the Braves and numerous other places around the country. If not the world, I'm going to the Dominican Republic in March, and there's fans down there that remember the TBS days. In Puerto Rico, everybody has a story about watching the Atlanta Braves in the 80s. And to be a part of that is something that Nancy and I and our family will just be forever grateful. It's just like I said, it's an intersection of things that were, just a really big part of people's lives. Watching the game of baseball, and I was just so thankful to be a part of that.
Mr. Murphy, as we're wrapping up here, I've got to just say one thing. And this is really for my buddy Shelton here sitting next to me. The biggest day in people's lives usually is the day that their kids are born, or their wedding, or when they get a big time promotion. Today in this interview is probably the biggest day in Shelton's life. He is.
Well,
he has more videos from the Cameo website that you are on, that you do videos for fans, and for people seeing you all over the country that know him, asking you to give him shout outs. He literally has a file in his phone of all the Dale Murphy videos that he has that you are talking to him.
Well,
so on behalf of him, I want to say thank you for making this man's day.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is 40 years in the making to make this man's day, and we are thankful for it.
And yes, Dale, we will have a restraining order against Shelton when you come to town. No.
Well, thank you. Well, I just want to say I'm excited to come to Cleveland. Wes Anderson, been great to work with, and this is one of those things. Like I say, I really enjoy these chances just to associate with Braves fans and fans from the 80s and people who love baseball, and it's everywhere. And so the chance to come to Cleveland, I'm really looking forward to it, and I appreciate the chance that Wes Anderson has given us again. And And our sponsors, like I think you mentioned, who's sponsoring the Keep Cleveland and Bradley County beautiful organization, and just everybody really looking forward to it. We're going to have some fun, and can't wait to get there. And I'll keep my eyes open for Shelton.
Dale, listen, my first game was August 9th, 1985. I was 7 years old. There was 5,700 people in attendance. I didn't want to say I was two down from getting an autograph from you, and they called you in. You had to go. You said, "I'll be back." I thought, listen, in my mind, I thought you said, "I'll be back." I told my parents that. If it weren't
He's still standing there.
If it weren't for my parents and them tearing down Atlanta Fulton County Stadium, I'd still be standing there. That's besides the point. I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter at all.
Mr. Murphy, he literally we're have a video recording of this. Mr. Murphy, he literally brought the shirt that he wore the day that he met you at his first baseball game today. It is a Dale Murphy shirt.
That's well, we'll take care of that autograph.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, I got a couple funny stories. People always say, "Oh, you played at the best time during your career," and I was like, "Well, we only had a couple really good years as a team." And they go, "No, that's not what I'm talking about. With 5,000 people there, you could buy a ticket." In the outfield, and by the third inning, you could sit right behind the dugout.
Absolutely.
That's right.
I got one more story. I had the same thing happen to me in Chicago. Guy came by the restaurant. He goes, I was the last guy you came out to get on the bus, and I had this 8x10. I got it right here. Will you sign this 8x10? I was the last guy. You said you had to get on the bus, and you didn't sign it, so will you sign it for me now? And he said, well, I did get a couple autographs from a couple of rookies on the back. and I said, well, turn it. Who was it? And he turned it over. It was Tom Glavine and John Smoltz.
Oh my goodness! Oh, that is a great story.
So I said, well, that worked out pretty good for you. And so, well, anyway, looking forward to it, guys. We'll have some fun.
Great.
We
Thank
definitely
you so
will.
much.
All right. Well, Dale, we're going to let you go. We're going to do a closing segment here, but we appreciate your time so much. This has been a Mix 104.1 MixTV.tv exclusive with Dale Murphy coming to Cleveland and Bradley County on February the 2nd. Dale, until then, safe travels, and we look forward to having you in our community.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you. All right, so we'll end that phone part right there, but we want to go back and really, Dale was very gracious with his time, gentlemen,
my goodness.
and give us that time. We want to go back and say that all of this with Dale Murphy coming to Cleveland and Bradley County on that February the 2nd date, First Baptist is the location, and it's to help with Walker Valley Baseball. Walker Valley Baseball leadoff dinner with Dale Murphy, presented by Keep Cleveland and Bradley County Beautiful and Mix 104.1, MixTV.tv. So proud to have him come into our community. Coach Wes Anderson and the crew that got all this set up. It's going to be a great time there, Shelton, and I know there's some still VIP opportunities, autograph tickets available and those type things. This is an opportunity that we don't want people to miss.
No, this guy will be in the Major League Hall of Fame. Listen, knee injuries is what killed his career. If you don't know I know a lot of people, if I say Chipper Jones, they know. If I say Freddie Freeman, they know. Before Freddie Freeman and before Chipper Jones, they never even happen in Atlanta if Dale doesn't stick around.
That's it.
Because the Braves are really irrelevant at that point. Dale Murphy led, from 1982 to 1987, he won 2 MVPs. He led the major leagues in home runs. He led the major league in RBIs. In the 1980s, only Mike Schmidt had more home runs. Only Eddie Murray had more RBIs. Dale Murphy led not just National League, but the major leagues in total bases and total runs scored. There was no one more dominant. Nolan Ryan once said, I can't imagine Joe DiMaggio being better than Dale Murphy at one point. And so this guy was the elite player. He was the third man in Major League Baseball history to hit 300, steal 30 bases, and hit 30 home runs. The two guys before him that did this, a guy by the name of Willie Mays and the guy by the name of Hank Aaron.
Yes.
So we're talking about a guy that was dominant in the 80s. probably more so than any other player. And so, again, if you don't know who he is, he's going to have some great stories. I know some of the questions that are being asked because I'm writing them for Steve. So, but regardless, there's so many things, and I think Josh touched on it and Dale touched on it. TBS and WGN, if you grew up in America in the 80s and early 90s, you either watched the Braves or watched the Cubs.
Oh, yeah.
And so I can still, Steve and I talked about this last night, I can still tell you the Braves lineup almost every single season. Or if you tell me a Braves player, I'll tell you what position he played.
Wow.
And that's for anyone in the greater Braves country. And again, they used to be known as the America's team, the Atlanta Braves. And that was because Ted Turner had the foresight to say, I think people might want to watch baseball every day. And they did. And so 705 TBS, Ernie and Skip and Pete, it didn't get any better than that.
Did not get any better
Vince
than
Scully
that.
may be the best ever to broadcast a game, but Ernie, Skip, and Pete are the best duo,
Yes.
or trio, I
Trio.
should say, to ever do it. And so it'll be a great night, interesting stories. And when you get to be Dale's age, you don't really care what the media thinks anymore because now it doesn't matter. A lot of the guys he'll speak about may already passed away. And so the stories will flow, and I just think it's going to be a tremendous night for Walker Valley baseball. Keep Bradley and Cleveland County clean. Bradley County, I'm not sure what that one was.
keep Cleveland, Bradley County beautiful.
Yeah, that too.
Beautiful,
And then, again, First Baptist.
Yeah, absolutely. Josh, give you a final say-so here?
Sure. I couldn't agree more with Shelton that Dale will be in the Hall of Fame. He will be a Major League Hall of Famer, and it was very sad that he didn't get in this year. We got Fred McGriff in this year for the Braves, which is unbelievable. And I think Dale's turn will be next year. And it's just that continuance of Braves players coming in. The same year that Dale Murphy will most likely get in is going to be next year. Is the same year that Andrew Jones will possibly get in.
Wow.
Two of the best center fielders ever to play for the Atlanta Braves.
Absolutely.
And two of the best outfielders ever to play in Major League Baseball, in my opinion. I agree with you when it talks about TBS and being able to see Dale Murphy play all through the 80s. And then it goes for me in the 90s. You know, you get to see people like Glavine and Smoltz and Maddox. And, my favorite player growing up, my favorite catcher growing up, Javi Lopez.
Yeah.
I idolize those guys, and getting to see players just, Lemke playing. I mean, Ryan Klesko playing for the Braves, Crime Dog, Fred McGriff, all these guys. It was just unbelievable. And I think that is why the Braves are so big. If you look at all these other markets, the only really other team that is as big as the Atlanta Braves fan base is probably the New York Yankees. I mean, honestly, when you think about the size of Braves country, it extends into obviously Georgia and the Atlanta area, but Tennessee, Alabama, South Carolina, North Carolina, even into Kentucky, Florida, Mississippi, even down into Louisiana. Braves country is the Southeast. The Braves are the Southeast. And for us to be able to have that World Series championship 2 years ago and then to be able to see the dominance of this team that is continuing to grow on the field, now we're also getting to see the respect of the generations that came before these teams, and getting to see the players of the 90s and the players of the 80s finally ink their way into immortality in the Baseball Hall of Fame. And so for me, just an unbelievable day that we're going to have on February 2nd to be able to hear some of these stories. Anytime you get, like Shelton said, one of the old guys to be able to come in and be able to tell stories from everyone's childhood, it allows these younger kids, the high schoolers, the middle schoolers that are going to be there, to be able to hear stories of the past that they can kind of wrap their head around of what Braves country and what the Braves organization really means, not just to Bradley County, but to the entire southern states of America. I mean, honestly, it's going to be a great night, a great evening. And I'm super excited and super thankful that Mix 104, Steve and you, Dwayne, allowed Shelton and I to sit in on this interview today and kind of make this guy's life. I mean, like I said in the interview, this 40 years in the making to have
Right.
the best day of his life, and it was today. So.
Well, the problem with this interview was that Steve let the two of y'all and myself conduct it, which means that it's going to be a long interview. I mean, it wasn't an in and out. It was something that we could sit and talk to
Because
Dale.
we had real questions.
Yeah. We could sit and talk to Dale for days and still not answer all the questions that we thought about prior to this
No,
interview.
Shelton still had 40 more questions.
Oh, I'm sure he did.
wanted to
He's got a book there that's full of them. And y'all limited me to one question. But anyway, again, we just want to say thank you to Dale Murphy. Want to say thank you to Coach Wes Anderson for coming up with this idea, bringing a caliber of a person like Dale Murphy to our community for young people and us old guys like us to be able to have an evening with. So don't miss this opportunity. Again, it's for a great cause for the Walker Valley baseball team. Again, Mix 104.1, MixTV.tv. Keep Cleveland and Bradley County beautiful is part of the ones sponsoring this. It's the Walker Valley Baseball Leadoff Dinner with Dale Murphy, February the 2nd at First Baptist. Get tickets by reaching out to Walker Valley High School and just call us here at the station. We'll make sure you get the information that you need. Definitely don't miss this on February the 2nd, and you're supporting the Walker Valley baseball team as well. An evening with Dale Murphy. That is just going to be tremendous. All right, so this has been an exclusive with Mix 104.1.